everybody, this is Dark Comet and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my perspective and extras about The Last of Us Part 2. You know, I just finished the series for you in 47 episodes here in my playlist. At the end there, I promised to give you my little perspective on the game itself as a whole and to go over some extras you can do in the game and some fun things you can do as well as how to use the photo mode. So let me show you how to use the extras in the game and what they provide for you. As you play the game, you get points, and those points can be used to purchase in-game things of extras and rendering modes and game modifiers for future play. I do not recommend using any of those when you play the game the first time through. It can really detract from the overall essence of the game and your first experience. I think it's best to play it through yourself, and then after you're done, if you want to go back and try out some of these things and find collectibles that you couldn't find, that's cool. But I think the first time you really need that first time experience is playing the game in its real mode, no modifiers, and just let it go from there. So let's look at the extras you can get with points. I've already got a lot of these, but you have to basically play the game through about 3 times to get enough points to buy everything. So I don't have everything yet, but I'll show you some of those things. We have concept art. They cost about 10 to 20p points as you're getting them. I'll show you some of the concept art. In Jackson, for instance, you can see how the developers and the directors and everything were thinking about the game before it was put together. I think that's really awesome. I really want to show you all these pictures if I can. You can see how the characters were perceived before it started, the scenery. You can see maybe some scenes that they didn't put in or were thinking about putting in. I think that's pretty cool. Look at Ellie; she's completely different in the game than she is right here in the concept. Got Dina and Jesse. Maria. At the overlook, we have some of the snow scenes. We have Abby and Owen. Ellie, or someone else from the group there, not quite sure. We have Abby walking through the mountains here with Owen, and a really awesome picture there when she went through the snow there, the frozen section there when she's going through all the bodies. That was kind of cool. Got the patrol when Ellie and Dina set off. Some of the clicker concept art, which is pretty amazing. I love it. Look at the fungal growth on those faces, guys. Pretty awesome. You got the horde scene where Abby was running through all the infected and eventually met up with Joel and Tommy, which was kind of fun. Really great scene there. When you're playing it, I hope you enjoy that. I can't get that image out of your head. Look at that, guys. Alright. Then you have the chalet, where Joel meets his fateful end. See, in this one, it looks like Ellie met up with people from the other group. It didn't happen in the game, but that was something maybe they were thinking about. You have Seattle Day 1. Packing up for our journey to go find Abby. Joel bites the dust. So you're wondering here what, maybe that was the people from Jackson as they were wrapping Joel up. And there's Dina holding Ellie. We have the gate when Ellie and Dina took off on their journey to Seattle. Ellie looks a lot different in the concept art than she did in the game. I kind of like how they gave her freckles and her look when she ended up in the game. I actually like that a little bit better, so I'm glad they went that route. Dina has a much larger profile, I'll just say. Her nose is much bigger in the concept art. Got that Italian Jewish look there. Alright. Got different looks for Dina. A lot of different profiles. Got downtown. The sniper rifle, that's a cool picture. Now here's one where they must have been thinking, I'm going to fight through a whole bunch of zombie horde, infected horde, in the downtown city of Seattle. We know that didn't happen. They didn't have a lot of infected in the downtown part. So this is kind of what I was hoping would be in the game, and it wasn't. But I wish they would have went that route. But in the concept art, you can see what they're thinking about anyway. Somewhere along the line, they cut that part out. Pretty amazing artistry if you think about it. Got the elementary school where Ellie was caught by the baddies. She had to break her way out. Fought her way through the elementary school. We have Capitol Hill where she set off her journey through the apartments and stuff as she was looking for Abby, and she fought at the gas station and things like that. That was kind of cool. She was heading on her way to the Channel 13 TV station, which is right here. We have the tunnels, which that was pretty amazing, guys. I mean, having the infected and the WS soldiers fight against each other and then fighting through that red haze as we were fighting through there in the semi-dark muck. Here is a concept of an infected that we never see. It's the Shambler guys, but they look completely different in the game compared to this concept art. There's more closer to what it ended up being. Look at that dude there, pretty cool. There's Bloater. Got a modified clicker here. Look at the fungal growth on that puppy. And there's another concept of them shooting out the acid spores. There's another, look at that. That's maybe one developing, right? The different stages of how a guy becomes the Shambler. But again, they changed the Shambler quite a bit from this concept art. Pretty cool though. We got the theater where they run all beat up and take Dina into the theater, but look, it's Dina carrying Ellie in this one. That's interesting. Playing guitar. Dina puking from her pregnancy. A little loving scene there. Got the birthday gift, which is a really cool scene. I mean, any scene with Joel and Ellie, I just completely love. I never get enough of that. I wish there was more of that in the game. I think that's one thing that they really could have improved on, for instance. But all in all, this flashback was pretty dang cool. I loved it. And look here, the space shuttle thing is out in the forest compared to the museum, which that's an interesting concept. Then we have Seattle Day 2, Hillcrest. Going to find who she thought was Tommy, but ended up being Jesse. Bunch of different concept art for Jesse here. He completely was different by the time that was done. More awesome clickerness. And here's another one that didn't make it into the game as far as I know, but this looks pretty cool. Wonder what was happening here, guys. Looks like they're having a big old battle with all of Ellie and her friends, but that didn't happen in the game. And then here's where Jesse and Ellie fight in that awesome car chase scene, which did happen in the game. Look at that, guys. That is one of my favorite shots. Look at that. Ellie shooting the clicker through the head there. Back of the theater. Alright, Finding Strings. Another cool flashback with Ellie and Joel and Tommy heading down into the area to eventually face the Bloater. Oh, those guys are nasty. Kind of like the Incredible Hulk type of thing. Actually, if he catches you and he grabs you and he slams you against the ceiling and the floor, oh man, those guys are just super strong and tough, knocking down walls. Pretty awesome. Alright, here's where we go face the Seraphites in the forest. That was a lot of fun and very difficult part of the game. The Seraphites and their whistles, man. Can you ever get them out of your head? Oh, look at that. That's crazy. Fighting through the parking structures in the forest. Got our big brutes. Now there's an interesting one. I think that's supposed to be more like an effect that they ended up being a stalker, but they didn't quite use that art. But that's, you know, I guess that's my first good guess there. And there's your stalker type. Man, those guys hiding behind the little crates and stuff and popping out. Look at that. Very cool. You know, I just love the look at this art here. So awesome. And then of course St. Mary's Hospital, where Ellie ended up going to check up on what Joel had said. Sail Day 3, Road to the Aquarium. You got the flooded city going on the boat, which was a very fun type of change to the game. I thought that was really cool. And of course another bloater. Oh man, that room is a lot different in the game, but still pretty cool there in the concept. And then there's the raging waters as you went out to the aquarium and crashed our boat. The infiltration, that's when Ellie finally made it to the aquarium and she kills Mel and Owen. There's your big first confrontation with Ellie and Abby as they face off there for the big confrontation. Okay, you got the park, which is kind of cool. That's the flashback with Abby and her dad. Look at Abby, looks a lot different in the concept art, but I kind of like what they did with her there. Like rescuing the zebra. Looking at St. Mary's Hospital. Maybe another flashback of them playing a game, which was kind of cool. They didn't use that in the game, but that was kind of nice. And then finding out her dad had been killed by Joel. There's Owen. Alright, Saddle Day 1 for Abby. Abby looks a lot different in the concept art, huh? Changed her a lot. That's closer to what she looked like. There's the WLF encampment at the football stadium. Some cool ideas there. We have going off on foot. We got the forward base there as they go back to the WLF one of their big camps. And she sees the prisoners in there, and then to the aquarium where the flashback where she jumps in the water with Owen. Wee, Geronimo. Seal scene. Got hostile territory. Some shots on maybe how you would go if you were moving through the zone. Back to their encampment here. The note board with the Seraphite leader. Then the forest when she was fighting the Seraphites herself and meeting Lev and Yara, which she was a very tough character, man. Oh, look, they did a little bit different in the concept art than they did in the game. They had her sitting up on her knees, where they had it on the ground and pounded her with a hammer for the game itself. The coast as she was carrying Yara back and looking for Owen down at the Ferris wheel and aquarium. There's something that didn't happen in the game, but must have been another flashback they were thinking of when they were much younger. There's her holding a lamp. Definitely didn't happen in the game. Maybe they thought that they might have taken away some of her toughness. Okay, then got some more concept art from going down the coast again with Ellie. And then the shortcut when Abby and Lev go through the high rises and the raging waters. Really cool concept art there. Fun part of the game as well. Fighting through with all the Seraphites there. Going up the high rise. Climbing on the overhang. 100-foot drop. That was pretty awesome. Finding the dedication temple stuff to the leader of the Seraphites, although this is not how it looked in the game, but it's still a pretty cool idea. The descent, the falling into a swimming pool. Man, that was pretty awesome. Going down through all the open, broken structure of the hotel. That was kind of scary, like a horror movie. That was pretty awesome. Ground Zero, that's going back to the hospital to get medical supplies for Yara. And our big encounter with the Rat King. That was pretty awesome, guys. The Rat King was such a hard foe. Here's some different concept art for the Rat King. Look at all those different pieces they put together. So it reminds me a lot of the Thing movies, Kurt Russell and others, that you could just took everything that it interacted with and just melted it together. Broke off pieces of itself, and those pieces could fight you too. That was pretty awesome. Abby going back to the hospital. The burnt bodies. Then them returning back to the aquarium to finding Owen again. There's something that definitely didn't happen in the game in the aquarium. There was no infected in there, but that was kind of cool idea. And that definitely didn't happen either. Don't know what this one was. Maybe it was a young Lev. Not sure. Seattle Day 3. We got the marina. With the sniper scene with Tommy and Manny. Battling Tommy. Then back to the island with Yara to find Lev. So many cool parts of this game. Had a lot of fun playing it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I really appreciate you guys viewing the channel and the series. I enjoyed playing it for you. Even if no one watched it, I would have still enjoyed playing it with you. What was that? That was pretty brutal. The city of Haven up in flames. The big escape on horseback, that was fun. Big battle with the brute. Obviously didn't look like that in the game, but I think I like that one actually better. Alright, look at that, guys. fighting through Haven. Then leaving with Lev there on the rowboat. Then back to the confrontation with Ellie at the theater. That was something I was not expecting when I played it through. Having to play as Abby, battling my favorite woman there, Ellie. That was pretty brutal, and I was not expecting that. Hope it surprised you too. Poor Ellie. Then the cutscene to the farm. Look, they were hunting a wild boar. That wasn't in the game, but another cool idea. Killing some deer, also not in the game. And a boar. So obviously they were thinking about that. And a dog. Where was the dog? No dogs in the game, but cool idea. Here's them herding the sheep. Look at the funny poses there of Dina and Ellie with JJ. That's hilarious. This had them having a scene that didn't happen in the game, but another funny concept. JJ. Getting ready to have her little episode there. There's Tommy confronting Ellie. And then it shows Dina watching Ellie leave on a horse as she left to go find Abby again. That didn't happen in the game, but another cool idea. Got Santa Barbara pushing inland. Looking for Abby in Santa Barbara, California. I really loved how they made the infected change the way they looked based on the vegetation differences between California and Washington State. That was kind of cool. The resort, which was a very difficult part of the game there. Battling the Rattlers. And then finally the beach scene. Looks like there was a lot more different rattlers and people hanging around in the concept art. Then the big confrontation between Ellie and Abby on the beach. Again, I don't know how you guys would do it. I'm not disappointed how to play it out, but it was quite the surprise as well. I believe they should have given you an option to choose if you want to kill her or let her live. I think that would have been a cool idea to have alternate endings. There's Ellie with her fingers chopped off. Then heading off into the distance to the unknown. Maybe to go to Catalina Island, who knows? And then the final one is the farm. That's the last scenes of the game with Ellie. She goes back to find Dina gone, plays a song, has a flashback with Joel, which that was probably one of the best scenes in the game as far as I'm concerned, their interaction. The flashback to the dance, that didn't happen in the game. Joel and Ellie didn't dance together, but you know, it's a cool idea. Here's some of the scenes you see in the intro when you first start the game. They always have a boat. So those boats had a meaning and you didn't know what they were until you played the game. And this is the final one they ended up with here on this page here. There you go. Okay, so that's the concept art, guys. The other things you can get with the game is a model viewer. I think you can really have a lot of fun with the model viewer. What it is like if you purchased a figurine at a store, and then you get to actually not have the actual model itself. You can go in here and view the model. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can spin it around 3D and look at all kinds of details. Let me show you by zooming in here just for an example. Here's one. You can get all the way down to the grain, the little wet droplets on the shirt and everything. Pretty awesome. So you got Ellie Abby, different parts of different Abbies, different Ellies. You got Ellie playing the guitar, I believe. You got Owens. You got the Santa Barbara Abbey, for instance. You got different Joels and Tommies and Dinas and Jessies and Levs and Yaras and stuff. I don't have all of them because I don't have enough points. They got the dogs. And then down here, little baby JJ. Let's look at the JJ. And zoom in on JJ there. But it's kind of a fun concept. And then you got the horses and the people, the Seraphites, and then all the infected. I'll give you an example of the maybe the Shambler here. You can take a zoom in on that. Not too far off from the concept art, but still drastically different. You have Clickers and the Rat King. Just take a look at the Rat King here. So that's the model viewer, for instance, guys. Really cool thing to have a virtual collectible item. And you get that from using your points. Okay, the other one is render modes, and I'll show you some of these in actual gameplay. You can make everything look like a comic strip. Headache, I don't quite understand that. It would be really hard to play with just red and white. Afterlife is kind of cool. Makes it look like they're in the underworld somewhere. 8-bit, like an old video game from the 80s, early 90s. Kind of cool. Watercolor. You got a dungeon. Got void, which is kind of freaky, weird. Pop poster, which I think lots of these would be good just if you want to take some still shots or some little short videos of the game in different modes. I think you could have a lot of fun with that, but you really can't play in some of these. It's extremely difficult. 1960s, more black and white. Cool and warm and vibrant. You got noir, which is black and white with a little bit of graininess to it, kind of like an old 1920, 30, 40 movie. Kind of cool. Bio range and sepia and vintage and beast mode and terminated and gridlocked and backlight, desert fog, blood, inferno, fire, trinity, pusher. I think lots of this is just a different filter for colors in the background. Demons, drug zone being green, and moonlight. I'll show you maybe one or two of these modes. So let's go in the game, and when I show you how to do photo mode, I'll show you a couple of the modes with what they might look like in the game. My favorite would be the graphic. It's kind of like you can play the game just like this. It's like playing in a comic book. It's easy to play because everything looks like the game itself. Not hard to do. But some of these are like, no way you're playing the game in that mode. No way. But you can get some really cool screenshots, I think. Game modifiers, you can purchase them with your points again. I have 1p left on my purchases. You have Mirror World, so if you're used to fighting everything in the way the game is designed, you can have it flipped. So now it's like playing the game in a whole different way, a different way of learning it, because everything that's coming from the right is now coming from the left. Very, very difficult, by the way. Mirror on death, so every time you die, it switches back and forth between the different perspectives, which would be kind of a cool and fun way to do it. Slow motion allows you to reduce the game speed down to 50%, although really hard to play and listen to because all the speech is slowed down, etc. But kind of cool if you want to do a little short scene, like a little movie. Bullet speed, you can turn your bullets so that the game slows down when you point your gun or weapon, and it slows it down 25%, give you more time to aim. You can turn on infinite ammo, so you never run out of ammo when you're playing the game. Again, do not do any of these cheats, mirrors, rendering, anything It's going to let you, when you play it for the first time, or it's going to ruin the game for you. Infinite crafting, you don't have to worry about having materials for crafting. You always have enough. And your melee weapons don't break, and they're always there for you. You can hear unlimited distance and see your enemies. I don't have that one yet, but that's what that one's for. One shot, you can kill any enemy with one shot of any weapon, they die. Same thing, touch of death with your melee weapons. And then 8-bit audio and 4-bit audio, you know, it gives a little bit of distortion. I don't know if I'll ever get those, but if I have extra points someday, maybe I will. Helium, everybody talks in a really high-pitched voice, kind of funny actually. And Xenon, everybody talks in a really low, demon-like voice, which I think is kind of cool if you made a little short video of that. Maybe combine that one with the Afterlife render mode. Okay, that is the extras you can get in the game with points. Obviously, I've played the game through twice, and I still don't have enough points to buy everything, so that's just something for you. In the option mode, you can turn on this thing called accessibility. Let me see, I think it's called magnification and visual aids. And then you can change the high contrast display to on. And what it'll do is make all the characters that are main characters be blue, all the enemies red, and every single thing you can pick up in the game will be yellow or highlighted for you, like a bottle, a collectible like a coin, a card, artifact, ammo, things like that will all be yellow. You can't really miss anything in the game this way. Maybe if you play the game through once or twice and then you can't find some of the collectibles, you're still missing them, maybe do that mode, but don't play this mode this way, guy. It's no fun if you're playing it through the first time. It's just definitely not going to be any fun for you. So this is an option for people if they just want to play and find things that they missed. I don't want to do it. I think it kind of takes away from the game, but you guys can do it if you want to. Alright, I'm going to go into the game here. I'm just going to choose a chapter here. And we'll choose maybe Seattle Day 1 or something, maybe downtown Seattle. I'll show you a couple of the different rendering modes maybe, and show you what can be done. And then I'll show you how to use photo mode, and that'll end today's video. So my perspective on the game is that maybe the pacing could have been a little bit different. Maybe the sequencing could have been a little bit different for the game. They really wouldn't have had to change the game overall, but by killing Joel up front and then switching to you playing Abby, I think that kind of really got people upset. I think that what they could have done was have that later in the game, like maybe Abby and Ellie and all those guys don't know who they are, or they're trying to figure things out, and then they eventually come to a head where that happens, and then they break apart, and then Ellie goes after Abby. I think by doing it up front, you already know the story, so you already know who's going to die. You already hate Abby from the beginning. Maybe she would have been a really cool character if you played her from the beginning. You didn't know that she was somebody who's going to eventually kill Joel. I think it would have been actually more dramatic for Joel to die later on after they developed the story a little bit. So that's my thoughts for the game. I think that their concept art should have been the thing that they used. You going into a big city like Seattle of millions of people and then finding basically hardly any infected when you first get into the game. I think a little bit more action in that part would have been a welcome relief. You're expecting to see the hordes of infected when you get into a big city like that, and there was very little spots of them, so that would have been a really cool thing to do in the story. I think that would have really improved the game a lot, actually. So those are some of the things I would have done. And then I think, like I mentioned before earlier in this video, if you had an option for alternate endings, kill Abby or let her live, and you could see how that played out, I think that would have been a really great way to end the game, and gave you some options, and then allowed you, when you played through a second time, maybe you chose a different role, maybe a couple of spots in the game where you could choose an alternate path, which would have been cool. But They did a couple of updates after the game came out. They added those random modes, they added the game modifiers, they added all those sound things like that. So that was kind of fun. And then the grounded mode, they added achievements for that later on for doing the permadeath, which if you die, you die, and that's all, you go back to the beginning. So that'd be kind of hard because I edited some of mine out. I left some of them in, but you die a lot in this game. And the harder modes you go, the more intelligent the AI is, the more health they have, the more aware they are, and the less resources you have. So if you're not used to seeing like bullets and health things and upgrades, you're not going to see that many in the higher level modes of the game. So you're going to have to use a lot of throwing weapons like bricks and things that take and stun people to take them out versus using a bullet or an arrow, for instance. So let me go to extras. I'm going to turn on the extras and we're going to see the graphic mode here, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here's what that looks like. I think it's a really cool way to play. I think you could have a lot of fun making some videos and some still shots in this mode here. I think it's one of my favorite modes that I've seen. I think I could play the whole game this way quite easily because there's no details being missed, you know?
Okay. Let's find a way, Pat.
So with
Very creative. Gets right to the point.
I'll show you a couple more modes here. So let's choose maybe one like the Afterlife and see what it looks like.
Let's get closer and scope it out.
That's kind of cool, guys. I think you can make some really cool photos of those, you know? It looks like everybody's playing in the underworld. And then let's try one more. Maybe I'll surprise you with a pop poster and see how hard it would be to play in that. Could you play in that? But no, but you probably can make some really, really cool pictures, guys. So let's check out photo mode. Okay, so for the photo mode, they gave you a lot of options here, better than most games. You have you can choose your depth of field. You could make the background fade in and out. Well, let's take out this render mode here first. Really hard to see. Let's take it and make it normal. Okay, let's put on the old photo mode here. So in the photo mode, you can adjust your own roll speed and field of view. You can change your depth of field. For instance, if you want to change the distance to the target and make the intensity go further, you could change your brightness, for instance, sharpness and saturation. You can give it more of a film grain to it. You can give it motion blur. You can give it here's one cool thing here. You can hide the characters. For instance, if you just want to have a screenshot with no characters in it, you can take them out of the game. That's a really cool idea. I really like that one. You can change your outside thing to a vignette, and you can change how big that is and how intense it is. You could put a frame on it, for instance. Change the perspective on your frame. You can change the color of the frame, change the intensity, and then you can put the logo on if you want to. For instance, you could have the moth that she likes to draw in her journals. You could have The Last of Us Part 2 in different ways on the screen. You can have the wolves and Naughty Dog symbols. You can change the position of those. And then you can take your picture, and it's a really nice photo mode. I think you'll enjoy it. Take some good screenshots. I'd love to see some of your screenshots someday after you play the game. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I really enjoyed this series with playing with you. I think I'd like to hear some time from you guys on your perspective once you play it, or what you watched and how you'd like to see it changed, or if you liked it just the way it was. Let me know in the comments. Give me a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and make sure you hit your notification bells for all the other things I'm going to be posting content on. I'm currently playing the Ghost of Tsushima, so go on over there and check it out. And if you play Red Dead Online, I do a daily challenge videos, and I have some other fun things there, so check those out as well. And then I hope to play some other games in the future, some Assassin's Creed, maybe Horizon Zero Dawn. Not quite sure yet. But once I get done with Ghost of Tsushima, I'll kind of see where I stand, and there's all kinds of new games coming out here in the next few months, so hope to see you there. Take care of yourselves. Again, really appreciate you guys watching the channel. Take care, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next videos, guys.